What is reality? Reality is what we believe to be true about the nature of our surroundings. But how do we come to decide that true nature? Do we conceive it completely on our own? Or do other devices gently sway our thoughts onto a pre-decided path? This is the hard question we must all ask ourselves as free humans on this planet. New sculpts your reality.
Reality. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another fine edition of Reality Brief. Here on this Wednesday night, broadcasting live from the super secret undisclosed location in sunny Hampton, Virginia, home of NASA Langley. I'm Don.
Popular place amongst paperclip operatives.
Hey, man.
So
you know, where the Nazis at, dog? Where the Nazis at? Certainly, you're not going to punch them.
Maybe.
Speaking of Nazis,
depends on if I am one.
We'll be joined a little bit later by Phantom Spy 369458. We got a show for you tonight. We're going to be talking a little bit about synthetic telepathy and voice dial technology, that type of thing.
Brain hacking.
Some other stuff on the docket as well.
You know, it's interesting, Don, because we've got one article that says, that they've basically successfully hacked the human brain. And we've got another one talking about how the human brain is not a computer.
Really?
So maybe the truth is somewhere in the middle.
Well, there's plenty of theories out there about how the human brain is more of a radio than anything else. So, like, picking up on a collective conscious field of memory. So, like, they prove this by saying, well, not prove it, but they say that there's a scientific breakthrough or something, right? And everybody is working on, a bunch of people are working on the same breakthrough at the same time, right? Without, any type of contact or even knowing about it.
Like how in ancient times, how you'd have separate cultures on different sides of the planet, and they'd all be researching the same the same piece of metallurgy, for instance. Yeah, I dig.
So with that, I think we're going to go ahead and welcome on in Phantom Spy 8369456. How you doing tonight, man?
Everybody.
Thanks for being on the show, man.
Yeah, thanks for Skyping me in here.
Yeah, without a doubt, man. So,
I heard what you called me.
Man,
like that, Skype.
What you think about this whole brain thing?
I got a chance to read over that article, and obviously a huge breakthrough. If this is really what it seems to be, this is, essentially direct wet wire technology.
Yeah,
available now.
Well, and I'd never heard of BGR.com until, seeing this article, but...
So, I guess we'll go ahead and read a little bit of it. Dan, you want to start off?
Yeah, guy's name is Mike Venner, spelled W-E-H-N-E-R. That, I'm pretty sure that might have been a couple of paperclip scientists with that last name. Who knows? Anyhow, imagine someone remotely controlling your brain, forcing your body's central processing organ to send messages to your muscles that you didn't authorize. It's an incredibly scary thought, but scientists have managed to accomplish this science fiction nightmare for real, on a much smaller scale. And they were able to even prompt their test subject to run, freeze in place, or completely lose control over their limbs. I wonder if they made him crap himself. You gotta wonder. Thankfully,
virtual brown note.
Yeah, thankfully the research will be used for good rather than evil for now.
For now, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right. This has already been being used, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
The effort led by physics professor Arnd Prahl, PhD of the University of Buffalo College of Arts and Sciences, focused on a technique called magnetothermal stimulation. Sounds sexy. It's not exactly a simple process. It requires the implantation of specifically built DNA strands and nanoparticles which attach to specific neurons. But once the minimally invasive procedure is over, the brain can be remotely controlled via an alternating magnetic field. When these magnetic inputs are applied, particles heat up, causing the neurons to fire. causing you to spaz out and kill everybody in a 100-foot radius.
Yeah. So it sounds like as soon as they can get those, into your bloodstream, into your brains, whatever mechanism, whether it's direct injection or over time through
think about
food
it, man.
or something.
Like,
I mean,
in the 50s and the 60s, they were doing mind control techniques with directly beaming radio waves into your brain.
Yeah.
Right.
And microwave beams and all sorts of fun stuff.
Kind of like just talking to you and trying to, coerce you into doing something or whatever. Oh. Now, forget it, man.
Yeah.
There you go. There's a cloud of dust in your face.
We don't already, have all this shit already in our brains,
Dude, I, for one, subscribe to the DARPA rule. I don't know how you feel about that, Phantom Spy, but I feel like if it's a scientific breakthrough or a technology we're just now finding out about, DARPA's militarized it, 20 to 60 years ago already.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it seems to be the case,
According to this article, it's so far only been tested on mice. It says the study, which is published in the most recent edition of the journal eLife, includes experiments which were performed on mice. Using the new technique, the researchers were able to control the movement of the animals, cause them to freeze, lock up their limbs, turn around, or even run. Despite only being tested on mice, so they say, the research could have far-reaching implications into the realm of brain research. The holy grail for dreamers like Elon Musk is that one day we'll be able to tweak our brains to eliminate mood disorders and make us more perfect creatures. It sounds like some equilibrium type shit. This groundbreaking research could very well be an important step towards that future, with grammaton clerics and all.
It definitely doesn't sound like they have it very exact at this point. It really sounds like they're just overloading neural signals and causing seizure effects. Really, if they're causing mice to flail or just fall over or take off running or whatever, it's that may be the extent of the technology. I'm not sure how they would specifically target any specific part of the brain or any specific chain of neurons that would need to fire to say turn left or climb that ladder or something like that.
Yeah, it's going to be a while before they can figure out exactly, how to hook it up to a PS2 controller or, whatever it would take to be able to steer somebody from truly remote like a drone.
It's probably would be easier to just have base level emotional control over a subject as far as stunting their attention or overly aggressive or whatever. Versus any, complete overload, like shut down their limbs, so that may be what we see first or what we're already seeing from this type of technology.
Well, they're working on the interface. Well, I'm sure they probably already have this Neuro Interface, but we got this article here.
This is, again, from Futurism.
This is old. It came out last month, but it's still relevant nonetheless, to the conversation here.
Yeah.
Neuro Reality. The new reality is coming, and it's a brain-computer interface. Now, this is something that's talked about a lot in, the whistleblower communities, and also if you listen to any of the newer Lorder guys or whatever, like at the Alex Jones or whatever, they talk about this too, but in a different way. The virtual world. With the release of the Oculus Rift... That's something you might be have some knowledge on there, Phantom Spy. In March 16, the age of virtual reality truly began. VR tech had been generating a buzz since the 90s, but the Rift was the first high-end VR system to reach the consumer market. And early reviews confirmed that it delivered the kind of experience users had been hoping for. Virtual reality was finally real. And, I got to play it. It's pretty dope, but it still ain't. It just ain't all the way there yet, I don't think, man.
Yeah, there's a ways to go, but
it's not completely immersive.
It's a major step forward, though, but for sure.
Here's the thing. Research in the VR exploded in this new era, and experts soon started to find innovative ways to make virtual experiences more immersive.
Oh, snap, we got a caller.
Looks like we got a caller. Let's see what's going on here. Hey, caller, you're on the air with Reality Brief and Phantom Spy. How can we help you tonight?
Hello?
Hello.
Hi.
How's it going? What's on your mind tonight?
It's going okay. Is this the Domino's on Fremont and South?
Yeah.
Yeah, it totally is.
What can you get? What can we get you?
Yeah.
What do you need?
I totally use some pizza.
Well, look, we got a special tonight.
You got those medium larges?
The medium larges? Yeah, we
man.
got a medium
Well,
large.
medium large.
We got a medium large go fuck yourself on special tonight. That's what we get for broadcasting to Twitch. So, where were we? The virtual world. I think we lost Phantom Spy.
You're going to have to call back in, Phantom Spy.
Phantom Spy, you there?
Nope, he gone.
He gone.
Womp womp.
Oh.
Well, anyhow. Yeah, so all this virtual world business, despite all this progress, no one would make a virtual environment for the real world. The technology simply isn't advanced enough, and as long as we rely on traditional headsets and other wearables, it never will be. Yeah, you remember that movie Strange Days? You remember that movie? How they had the memory playback?
Yep.
Like, I think they're going to have that kind of technology incorporated into the whole VR thing before people are really going to be able to accept it as anything that's even remotely like virtual reality. Like, just sight isn't enough. You need smell and touch and taste. You need all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think we lost the video.
Click your little camera at the bottom there.
Oh.
There I am.
That guy was talking about his nipples and stuff. I don't...
What is up with that, man? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hang up on you. I just wanted to get him off, and I couldn't see the easy way to do that without.
I know you just wanted to get that guy off. That's what he wanted too.
I know he loved it. He loved it. He loved it. Okay,
yeah, I was trapped in a Skype call alone with that guy. I realized for like 30 seconds there. I was like, huh.
What did he say to you?
So this is Skype. Talking about his pepperoni nipples or something. I'm not sure.
Pepperoni nipples. Great.
Glad we let that one go and it came through.
It looked like that phone call had actually came from like oops, that's not what was supposed to happen. Had came from the UK or something.
Nice. Well, he definitely sounded like a
413 area code.
local douchebag.
All right. So who we got here?
What part of what place God forgot about that is?
Where were we at before we were rudely interrupted?
What's it? So
That's what I get for putting call now up on the screen initially and broadcasting the Twitch.
It says, before we can create a world that's truly indistinguishable from the real one, we'll need to leave the age of virtual reality behind and enter a new era, the era of Neuro Reality. So Neuro Reality is a reality that's completely driven by technologies that interface directly with the human brain. So traditional VR depends on a user physically reacting to external stimuli, swinging a controller, moving your goggles around, whatever. Neuro Reality interfaces directly with your biology through a brain-computer interface. Notably, this technology isn't some far-flung sci-fi vision, it's very real. To rehash the basics, BCIs are a means of connecting your brain to a computer. They can be invasive, like, the Matrix with a data jack in the back of your head, or non-invasive, like Strange Days, where it just sits on your head. So experts have predicted that advances in BCIs will lead to a new era in human evolution, as these devices have the potential to revolutionize how we treat diseases, learn, communicate. In short, they are set to utterly transform how we see and interact with the world around us.
Or utterly destroy it.
Well, yeah, probably that too. Just due to the fact that it's in human hands. But some companies are already innovating into the newly emerging field of Neuro Reality. Founded by physicist Dan Cook in 2013, iMind's goal, EYEMYND. Their goal is to create a VR system that allows the user to navigate a virtual world simply by thought. No immersion, no controller, none of that stuff. When you're in the virtual world, when you're playing a game or something else, you don't want to have to keep thinking about what you're doing with your hands. Cook told Digital Trends in November, it's better to have pure brainwave control. It'll be a much more satisfying experience and will allow for a greater level of immersion. You can forget about your live human body and just focus on what's going on in front of you.
But, I mean, would that really make it more immersive? Like, to me, to be immersive, it would have to be like, man, I'd have to be walking. You know what I mean? Well, and not just like laying there thinking about it. I mean, that'd be cool too. It'd be almost like dreaming, I think.
It would be dreaming, yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if it would be like, let's say you smoke a big fatty boom batty blunt before you put it on, and then you connect to the computer, are you still baked and don't want to get up? Like, is it still tiring to get up and walk around?
I don't know, man.
I mean, if I get shit-faced and then log into VR...
You'd be, outside of the limitations of the enzymes in your arm or leg muscles or whatever. You could fly, or you could lift things up beyond normal strength, whatever.
What happened?
Well, this guy Cook, his company isn't the only one exploring the use of brainwave detecting external tech to make VR experiences feel more seamless. Boston-based startup Neurable, bioinformatics company Emotive, and of course Facebook are all working on non-invasive devices that would allow users to navigate the virtual world through thought alone. However, as Joy Lyons, chief technology officer of audio tech startup OSSIC, spelled OSSIC, told Vice in 2016, the ideal hardware for creating new reality isn't an external headset, no matter how advanced its chip in the brain. Ready for your brain chip, Don?
Yeah.
Can't play video games without it.
Well, I'll have to take a pass on video games because I think I could pretty much survive without video games.
I know, right?
I'll be ready to take the chip when I gotta eat, and the only way I could do it is to take that chip.
Well, your boy Elon's getting in on it. So earlier this year, serial entrepreneur Elon Musk founded Neuralink, a company with the goal of developing cutting-edge technology that connects a person's brain to the digital world through an array of implanted electrodes. Shortly before Musk's announcement, Braintree founder Brian Johnson announced a similar venture that he's investing $100 million to unlock the power of the human brain and make our neural code programmable.
Nice. Well, speaking of Elon Musk, Phantom Spy, you see those the new spacesuit?
I did not see that. No.
It's so sleek. It's so sleek.
It really does look like some 2001: A Space Odyssey shit. Like, that's basically like
very comfy.
He tried to look up the concept art for 2001 and make it into a real spacesuit that works.
So,
well, I mean, it's inevitable that we have a better, more sleek spacesuit as we have better technologies, better materials. You know what I mean?
Instead of the big clunky pieces of shit that they use on the space shuttle.
What I find
these
interesting,
giant pressurized suits are, they're like bubbles. They're maintaining a pressure in there. If we could do that with a harder plastic as opposed to 40 layers of fucking Kevlar.
Man, what I find interesting about the spacesuit is that it bears a striking resemblance to what I've been seeing about the past year or so, coming out of the secret space program insider community as depictions of what the spacesuits look like, and they look similar. They don't look exactly the same, but it's definitely similar, very similar.
Well, I guess see this evolving for sure.
Down to like you see how it's like.
God damn it, I hate.
Well, I don't know if you can see it because I had to drop the thing. The encoder was going crazy, but
I'm watching it on the stream.
That guy there. See how it's got the little. Like, it looks like flaps that go over it, like it's flaps, like it's pieces put together. You know what I mean? Like, that's even that. I don't know. It's interesting. So, Musk says what's in the photo is an actual working spacesuit and not a mock-up. Perhaps referring to the one he wore in that Vogue photo shoot 2 years ago. The suit is also white rather than gray, like the design he wore for the shoot. He said, "It was difficult to balance aesthetics and function. The suit we see in the photo seems to fit the bill. If not slightly reminiscent of the suits worn by soldiers in the video game Halo, it does. I think it looks more like the Mass Effect stuff than Halo.
Yeah,
but
I think it looks more like the Nachtwaffen stuff.
Yeah, it looks a lot like they're running around on Mars and for the ICC. So they say." While Musk admitted it was difficult to balance aesthetics and function, the suit we see in the photo seems to fit the bill. It's not slightly reminiscent of the suits worn by soldiers in the video game Halo. Further evidence that SpaceX is making good on its promise to develop a spacesuit that looks like it belongs in the 21st century. Because that's very important to make it look a certain way and not function correctly.
Yeah, I mean,
right? I mean, shit, man. I want to.
Well, once you got the working properly part down, Pat, I don't see a problem with making it look cool.
I want a Versace spacesuit.
Look, a big part of this, civilian commercial space push is going to be getting people on board, and people aren't going to want to look at some fucking big ass clunky giant fucking spacesuit.
Oh yeah,
that,
customized
you're like the
spacesuits are
fucking-
definitely going to be the future, man.
You know, I gotta
Well,
imagine
probably-
too that it's probably pretty damn hard to do anything in one of them. The
You can't
NASA
fuck anybody
spacesuits.
in one of those things.
You totally cannot
Dude, like,
You probably
copulate
couldn't
in one
even
of them
jerk off in one of
spacesuits.
those
No,
things,
man.
man. What a life.
Dude, you
To
can't
be a
even wipe a
spaceman.
booger off
Man,
your face in one of those
I was
things.
watching this
Like,
video the other day of a
if you get some
spaceman.
shit in your eye, you're boned.
I was
Yeah.
watching this video of
2
an
hours
astronaut on the ISS wringing a rag out, man. And I'm watching the water come out of the rag and go on his hands, like, and I'm just thinking, man, could you imagine getting shot in the face with a splash of water in 0G? It would just like
Yeah.
attach to your face and you just drown.
You drown like that for sure.
Yeah,
That'd
you
be
have to
fucking
breathe through a
awesome.
cardboard
crazy,
tube
man.
or a pipe or something.
I feel bad for them guys, man.
In
They're in
space,
space,
no
too,
one
so
can
don't
hear
feel
you
too bad.
drown.
So, in terms of function, Musk said the suit had already passed double vacuum pressure tests. Ocean landing mobility safety tests are underway. To be sure, SpaceX wants to have this spacesuit ready for what could be the first manned mission slated for 2018. That lunar round trip paid for by 2 people. It's also expected to see use for SpaceX missions under NASA's Commercial Crew program. So, this is interesting. I want to look into this a little further. So, apparently 2 people paid Elon Musk for a round trip to the moon.
So it would seem.
SpaceX has agreed to fly 2 private citizens on a week-long trip around the moon. Oh, that's right, around the moon. We did talk about this one. I was thinking
Yeah.
actually landing on the moon. Like, dude,
Soon, I
go
mean,
win the
it
lottery,
could be a
so
couple
it
years
could be
from
dope.
now. If they're ready to do that.
yeah,
Think of how the Apollo missions moved.
you gotta wonder if that's the case. Then what are they doing to these alleged bases that are on the moon to prepare for this? I mean,
Yeah.
because they gotta
Did
be,
they apply for your landing permits?
Right.
Yeah. Did they see knockwaffing about the landing?
Do you have
permits?
clearance for the landing site?
Oh man.
9, no moon for you.
So, I mean, I wonder who that is. Is there any way you can find that out? I wonder if they wanted to
Well,
be public about it or not.
We do have an article on the wealthiest space investors that are getting in the game, talking about more than Musk and Bezos. Besides Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, Larry Page, Sergey Brin, Li Ka-shing, Ma Huateng, Sheldon Adelson, Paul Allen. Elon Musk is like the 7th or 8th guy down on the list in terms of wealthiest space investors. Bill Gates is by far the wealthiest.
What's Bill Gates' company called?
Now it's listed as Chimeta. Kymeta. So I guess what? Not Microsoft? Like, I mean,
Obviously not Microsoft. I don't think he's even involved with Microsoft anymore, is he?
oh really?
I think he just owns a bunch of shares.
Yeah, I don't think he doesn't sit on the board or nothing.
Well, Larry Page from Planetary Resources, Sergey Brin from SpaceX, and of course Google. Paul Allen, Elon Musk, Eric Schmidt, Ricardo Salinas, Richard Branson, Lynn Schusterman, Yuri Milner.
So
It's a lot of names.
that's this one, right?
A
Yeah,
lot of fucking billionaires.
it is,
Yeah.
man. I mean, is this the same group that was investing on how to escape the simulation?
Yeah, I hope so. It says, we are now in the age of space startups, fueled in part by Musk's Space Exploration Technologies Corp. And Space Angels, a network for space investors. These projects help companies that aren't billionaire-backed to negotiate the cost of getting into space. And now more than 225 private ventures have received financing for space projects, with about $3.1 billion invested in 2016 alone. Sure, some of these groups won't make it, but some will.
It's got Mark Zuckerberg as SETI.
Yeah,
Is that like the SETI?
yeah.
When did Mark Zuckerberg buy SETI?
Oh, he's just invested in it.
Yeah, he's invested a ton of money in it.
So, but SETI's not doing
Well,
any
Sheldon
kinda,
Adelson is
you know
funding
what?
a lunar
this
mission.
This is kind of misleading here, because SETI doesn't do any space exploration stuff, man. They just got
they do.
satellites that they beam and they look for
Well,
signals.
SETI usually, I think they just use radio telescope
Search for
arrays.
extraterrestrial intelligence.
Yeah,
So this Chimeta group, this might even be something similar to that. As far as I know, I mean, we got Blue Origin and SpaceX, definitely. But which Moon Express?
Isn't radio astronomy exploring the universe in the finest sense, though? That's basically what SETI does, is radio astronomy.
And this guy, Sergey Brin,
Yeah, from Google.
So he's involved with SpaceX too, and he's got more money wrapped up in it than Elon Musk, according to this chart.
Well, it says he's wealthier.
Oh, this is just ranked by wealth?
Yeah.
This isn't ranked by money tied into
That's very misleading.
Yeah, this is misleading as hell, man.
Yep.
Look how rich Bill Gates is, and he's also
he's also got like 3 shares in this company, Chimera, that throws rocks in the air and tries to get them into space.
This graph was put together by someone that owns Chimera stock, whatever the fuck Chimera is. He's like, look how important Chimera is. Everyone Google that.
About to. Apparently it's antennas. Some kind of satellites like Chimera Corporation. Let's check it out. Intellectual Ventures spin-off company. Connectivity where it's never been before. Yeah, that's exactly
what my
it, man.
business card says.
This is like communication stuff like satellites and all that. What's this? Introducing first-of-kind satellite technology that can connect to anything that moves. So, like, they're on cutting edge. Okay, I can see how that's space-related.
Yeah, satellite components.
All right, so what's this Red Dragon? Is that more Musk news?
Yep.
Okay.
Namely,
Red
it's
Dragon.
been delayed.
Oh.
That's your brain. That's not that.
Yeah, we should get back to that at some point.
Well,
it's pretty important.
Put Red Dragon on the back burner. Delaying Mars expedition. I think this is old news, too. Didn't they say this a while ago? When did this article come out?
No, it's recent.
So Jim Green, the head of NASA's Planetary Science Division, has confirmed that SpaceX has told the agency that their Red Dragon program will not be ready to go to Mars as soon as previously expected. According to past statements by Elon Musk, a revised timeline could be revealed next month. So, what, they're tied up in permit process?
Yeah,
like
they haven't gotten clearance from Starfleet.
They're still waiting for Mars Defense Force to
clear them a landing site,
sign the paperwork, and find them a landing site.
I mean, I think they had been talking about like 2018, you know, so that's fucking probably just coming up very fast.
What? I mean, what did they just pull that date out of their ass?
I'll bet NASA was like,
"We're going to Mars in 2018."
I'll bet NASA was like, "Please don't show us up." Jim Green, the head of NASA's Planetary Science Division, has confirmed that SpaceX has told the agency that their Red Dragon program will not be ready to go to Mars as soon as previously expected. According to past statements by CEO Elon Musk, a revised timeline could be revealed next month.
You know, what's interesting is...
Originally, they had talked about 2018.
What's interesting is when I heard about this before, because this isn't exactly brand new. It's happened recently, but... They were talking about they were second guessing the landing delivery system, the landing system, where they were doing propulsive landing like the lunar landing module, and they abandoned that. They said that shit ain't gonna work.
Right.
So,
the best way I've ever seen.
I don't know what's that say. What's that say about the lunar lander there, Dan?
Not much, because it worked. I mean.
Well, the moon has much,
less
lower gravity than Mars.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's very true. And also, I mean, on Mars, at least you've got a little bit of atmospheric drag.
Right.
Whereas on the moon, there's just nothing.
Well, before with the rovers, what were they doing? Parachuting in giant bouncy balls and letting them roll across the fucking thing until it stopped, and then it would unfold and let the rover
You got to
out.
think, if you have an opportunity to use something as passive as a parachute that weighs fucking, 50 pounds all total or something, as opposed to having rockets and thrusters and fuel that you got to send along with everything else.
Yeah, it probably would be a logistics thing, because if you think about it, the gravity thing doesn't make much sense because the Earth has more gravity than Mars, correct?
Yeah, way more.
Yeah.
And they do that shit here. You've seen them. You can watch a video right now. You can go on YouTube and watch them land a rocket.
Also,
sure, but they
Earth's
just launched all that fuel just a minute ago.
Right.
You know what
No,
I mean?
I know what you're saying,
man.
man. That's what I'm saying. It's got to be a logistics thing, man. It can't be like gravity or something stupid
A big
like
part
that.
of it is the speed, too, because you got to be fast as balls to get to Mars in any reasonable amount of time. And then once you finally get there, then, you've got to slow down enough to stop and land without going kapow onto Mars' surface. So usually the first, from what I've seen, the way they do that is the best way to do it is aerobraking, and you orbit Mars a couple times and use the top layers of Mars' atmosphere to slow yourself down, And then when you finally get into a relatively circular orbit, then you start doing stuff like the way they landed Opportunity was friggin' awesome. Because they had the thing, it parachutes down, right? And then once it gets to a certain height, then after you use the parachutes, then you fire the retro rockets, and the little thing pops open, and it just goes boop and puts the probe down.
Yeah.
Like, that's so cool that they can do that now.
Yeah, it was amazing that it actually worked. That was really a successful launch right there. Landing.
I always imagined people landing on Mars would probably be a lot more like that scene from Aliens. You know, the dropship scene. We're on an express elevator now!
So,
yeah, who knows what they'll end up with.
Switching gears here back to this brain hacking shit. This is the article we found that says, your brain does not process information, retrieve knowledge, or store memories. In short, your brain is not a computer. So if it doesn't process information, retrieve knowledge, or store memories, what the hell does it do exactly? No matter how hard they try, brain scientists and cognitive psychologists will never find a copy of Beethoven's Fifth Symphony in the brain, or copies of words, pictures, grammatical rules, or any other kinds of environmental stimuli. The human brain isn't really empty, of course, but it does contain most of the things people think it does.
It says does not
contain most of the things people think it does. Not even simple things such as memories. Our shoddy thinking about the brain has deep historical roots, but the invention of computers in the 1940s got us especially confused. For more than half a century now, psychologists, linguists, neuroscience, and other experts on human behavior have been asserting that the human brain works like a computer. That's what I've been hearing. Isn't that what you've been hearing?
No, according to these guys, that's some bullshit, yo.
Yeah, but who are these guys anyway?
To see how Robert Epstein, it says he's a senior research psychologist at the American Institute for Behavioral Research and Technology in California. Written a bunch of books. Former editor-in-chief of Psychology Today. So I got to imagine this guy knows a little something about what he's talking about.
Maybe. I don't think he knows anything. I don't think he knows that.
You don't know that.
Phantom Spy. Does he know that?
He does not know that.
He does not know that.
He does not know that.
You don't know that he doesn't know that.
I haven't read this article, but I was just thinking about this just today. And before we go into this, I'd be curious to see, if I was close to the mark here. But I've been thinking that, as opposed to storing direct memories as logs of events, chronological keeping of information. I think that the brain really works more on a pattern recognition, for almost any avenue that the brain applies itself. If you think of music composition or something, I think it really does come down to any language or anything like that. It comes down to these very minute patterns and then groupings of those patterns that the brain is able to very quickly recognize and somehow associate with specific neuron firings. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So when you see something, when you see a word or a concept, it comes into your brain as this stimulus input that's a series of of these pattern groupings, and I think that's just how we memorize it. So when you recall something, you're thinking on that level of these patterns,
Okay, well, let's take a look at that. It says, see how vacuous this idea is. Consider the brains of babies. Not your ideas, but the idea of thinking that the human brain operates like a computer. Thanks to evolution, human neonates, like the newborns of other mammalian species, enter the world prepared to interact with it relatively effectively. A baby's vision is blurry, but it pays special attention to faces. It can identify its mother. It prefers the sound of voices to non-speech, can distinguish one basic sound from another. So we're built to make social connections. A healthy newborn is also equipped with more than a dozen reflexes. Babies know to turn their head when something brushes against their cheek and then sucks whatever enters its mouth. It can hold its breath when submerged in water. It can grab things placed in its hand so strongly it can nearly support its own weight.
I saw a baby change a tire once. I was so impressed.
Most important.
That would be quite impressive.
That'd be pretty rad. Newborns come equipped with powerful learning mechanisms that allow them to change rapidly so they can interact increasingly effectively with their world, even if that world is unlike one that their distant ancestors happen to face. Senses, reflexes, learning mechanisms is what we start with, and it's quite a lot when you think about it. If we lacked any of these capabilities at birth, we would probably have a hard time surviving. But here's what we are not born with: information, data, rules, software, knowledge, lexicons, representations, algorithms, programs, models, memories, images, processors, subroutines, encoders, decoders, symbols, buffers, design elements that allow digital computers to behave somewhat intelligently. Not only are we not born with such things, we don't develop them ever.
This is a bad comparison because...
How's it a bad comparison?
It's a bad comparison because when you create a computer, it is a blank slate until you load that shit on it. Just like a human being is...
Yeah, but an operating system needs all those things to operate, and they're saying that in the human brain, they haven't found that part of the software yet.
Right. They just don't understand it. And you know what?
But
I went on reading and going down there, and when you get to the bottom, you know what they say?
Huh.
I don't know that.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, okay, well, let's,
Dude, no, we're not reading this whole article, man. It's like 16 pages long,
that was a long fucking article.
There's no way, man.
Well, we got
just take my interpretation as gospel. I mean, I do have
Listen to Phantom Spy, right? That artificial intelligence at the center of the earth told him.
Well, they're saying that we don't store words or rules that tell us how to manipulate them. We don't create representations of visual stimuli, store them in short-term memory buffers, and then transfer the image into a long-term memory device. We don't retrieve information or images or words from memory registers. Computers do these things. We don't. We just, it says computers process information. The human brain just doesn't work like that.
No, what about AI, though? I wonder how those type of neural networks work. Like the advanced AI that's like making up its own language and shit over at Google.
Those work on, they form their own algorithms based on pattern recognition, like a brain. That's why they call them a neural, AI. I think that this guy's argument is, you find a lot of these academic people that will write fucking hundreds of books just saying nothing, essentially. They'll just write and express an idea that's just very obvious. Like, well, yeah, fucking brains don't have hard drives in them. Yes, they're not computers. Good observation, doctor. What else can you say? I mean, computers attempt to emulate functions of the brain of computation. Mm-hmm. The brain expresses, characteristics of computers and these fucking computational abilities, and
they talk a lot about what the human brain isn't, but they don't talk about what it is
because they don't know.
Yeah, they talk about what the human brain doesn't do, but they don't really talk a whole lot about what it does.
Let me ask you this, Phantom Spy.
Yes.
Do you believe in a memory field?
You mean like a consensus reality, a shared...
Like a shared knowledge pool? Like, are you familiar with the Akashic Records?
Somewhat. I've heard you guys discussing a bit, I think.
Well, it's no, go ahead.
No, I get what you're saying, though, like ingrained in our genetics or something, memories.
Well, not even. I mean, like a physical energy field that is memories and collective consciousness.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I could certainly see that. I think that consciousness, as we experience it, could be nodes just traveling along, a network of these realities, and we fixate on a perspective, and I could certainly see that. Like I know we talked a little bit the other a few weeks back. You guys talked a little on solipsism and viewpoints like that, and I think that we're already approaching technologically the barrier to breaking down our reality. Just our perception of reality and going, overriding essentially what we are able to perceive as real. We're just, the article that we were discussing earlier. I mean, once you're able to have a direct, a couple of these articles, you have a direct, wet wire essentially capability, and you can override, sensory input, and you can convince someone that they're, sitting and watching this radio show right now, or sitting and being on it, or whatever. I mean, you have to kind of just take reality for what it is, because it's so nebulous. You can never pin it down. You know what I mean? And you never will be able to, because it's the definition of subjective. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if there's something to that, to where we, the power of memes, man. I mean, we've seen that happen time and time again. The power of just collective thought, and how fast ideas can spread, even against against influence trying to keep them from spreading. I don't know, it's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah, I mean, it's like the premise of the show, man. I mean, who sculpts your reality? You are programmed by your environment. You know what I mean? You think what's real based on essentially what you've been told is real. You know what I mean? Like, as far as an everyday, average, ordinary citizen watching TV and all that, I mean, let's just look at the example of, weapons of mass destruction, for instance. That kind of stuff. Like, where someone like me or you would be like, well, show me some fucking evidence here. Other people would just be like, just take the easy, lazy way out of it and just let something else tell them what to think and how to think.
Well, I think the thesis statement of this whole article is basically summed up right here, where it says, to understand even the basics of how the brain maintains the human intellect, we might need to know not just the current state of all 86 billion neurons and their 100 trillion interconnections, not just the varying strengths with which they are connected, and not just the states of more than 1,000 proteins that exist in each connection point, but how the moment-to-moment activity of the brain contributes to the integrity of the system. So,
hey, man,
that is a pretty long way of going on and saying you don't know that, but you know what I mean? Like, we got a lot of time to kill here, so maybe instead of just
we're
you
good
don't
on
know
time,
that,
man. We got plenty of stuff instead of reading this whole giant article.
Take a look at fucking why we don't know it and what we don't know.
Look, man, since
what makes this cool?
Since Phantom Spy's got his Eclipse glasses on, intriguing eclipse-like crop circles shows up in Essex. Wow, look at that. It looks like an antenna, is what they're saying. Will a radio message be broadcast to humans on Earth sometime around the solar eclipse? So is that what they're taking out of that? Can you see that through your solar eclipse glasses?
I can see everything through my solar eclipse glasses.
It's just days before an eclipse of a lifetime, and as the world readies for the sight, and some for the energetic shifts. Oh, speaking of which, I was watching a live stream from that Eclipse of Disclosure, and I gotta say, I was a little weird. They were watching the eclipse, right? And there were some of them that were like, just like, worshiping it or something like that. It was crazy, man.
Man, did you guys get to see it?
Yeah, I did. We didn't get to see totality out here.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
It was pretty close. It was like 95, 96%, something like that.
Yeah, it was pretty close. It was good.
It was enough to see all the shadows on the ground turn into those little crescent shapes. That was pretty rad.
So,
yeah. Man, I had a very nice experience with it. I was very pleasantly surprised. Shocked to have no cloud cover,
Were you prancing in the fields between the
I was doing
mountains
some
with your
rituals
flute and your hat?
I was.
Worshiping the black sun?
Of course.
It's interesting, that particular occultic symbolism, obviously black sun, you would think solar eclipse, but from what I've looked into and saw, it's like a black hole.
It's the sun wheel.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually the black sun is not the original name or meaning, essentially.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's a source of power for sure. It's not an eclipse.
Mhm.
Damn Romulans.
Ramis. So, it's days before eclipse of lifetime. World readies for the sight engine shifts. New crop circle has appeared in a field at Sutton Hall near London Southend Airport. The circle was discovered 17th, but its meaning, if any, is not yet fully understood. This doesn't look like it could have been that complex for a human to make with the board technique, you know. I don't know. Crop circle with a meaning, you might ask. Yes, evidence has shown time and time again that many of these circles have incredible scientific anomalies, and those people believe the formations come from somewhere or something else.
You know, it makes me wonder if they don't have a feature on those Hanabus that or those Trebs or whatever they're rocking these days that like lets you put in a JPEG and it like, you know, turns it into a black and white picture and then, you know, use it to use a beam to take that image and fucking print it onto a crop.
You just like
on the ground.
You seen Iron Sky, right?
Like you hit print.
You seen Iron Sky, right?
That'd be awesome. Yeah.
Remember when he plugs the iPod into the Hanabu?
Yeah.
He's just like, yeah, print.
Yep. Yeah, we're gonna burn
Jimmy Walker.
We're gonna burn this into this crop of barley this time.
All right, so basically they're saying that they think it looks like a radio tower broadcasting on the eclipse. What is this funky shit here?
Man, you know what it looks like to me is exactly what you would end up with if 3 or 4 people went and aimlessly fucking went out in the field and were like, oh, I just fucking went and did that. I mean, it would look exactly like that.
Well, the circle looks pretty good. I don't know. I guess you would have to get it into some photo editing software to see if it is a perfect circle. Because I would imagine
a circle is one of the easiest things to do with the crop circle. That's why they call it a crop circle. You stand in the middle, someone stands in the middle, and someone goes around the perimeter with a rope, and they measure it that way, and they flatten it down, and then they step in and they follow it around. It's a perfect circle.
Perfect.
I mean,
circle.
that's
the Shitty Band.
Yes. That's it. Although more perfect. But actually, you can see if you look at the photo. Here's a good sign for you. The centers of the photo or the circles are actually offset from where the apex of that the supposed tower would be.
Right.
You can see how sloppy it gets. Like the larger outer ring is way offset from where the actual center would be from the smaller ones.
See that?
I mean, it's just farmers.
I don't know. I wouldn't even say it was farmers, man.
It's farmers.
Kids.
Farmers' kids.
Hoaxers. Well, I don't know what motivates someone to create hoaxes like that. I don't know, man.
Because
I mean,
fucking
same thing.
douchebags in Virginia are talking about it on their fucking radio show. You know?
You're right.
Mission accomplished, man.
So now, do you think any of these crop formations could be, UFOs?
I don't think a single one ever has been. Not once ever.
No?
Not one
I've
single.
seen some that were pretty fucking complex to be put up, within the time frame
the ones
that
that
they
get
were.
me are the ones where they talk about how the molecular structure of whatever the crop was has been changed.
Or the
that's
crops,
pretty far
the
out.
crops instead of breaking or bending, and then some of them radioactive and shit.
Well,
I would venture to say that some of them, at least some of them, got to be some kind of phenomenon. I don't know.
It could be a disinfo thing against a legitimate phenomenon that there really are some radioactive landing sites in fields that because I've heard the same thing that some soil samples come back radioactive and whatnot. But I've seen people with a board on the end of a rope essentially,
I think
and they can push it down and it bends it, doesn't break it.
Everybody remembers that from sightings.
Yeah, I mean exactly. It's like.
Well,
maybe it's disinfo though. Maybe
There's another article from this site exonews.org, and they're talking about types of contacts and exopolitical considerations. Well, that's where this crop circle story is from. But and then at the top of the thing, they got a picture of this blonde-haired chick who actually kind of, I imagine we may know a clone who this might have looked like her when she was younger.
We may know a clone. Or let's see, where was I at? Okay, let me cue this.
It reminds me of a clone.
While we're on the topic of crop circles, we do have Phoenix. You guys.
Oh yeah, this.
You guys listening and Phantom Spy there. I'm sure you're familiar with the Phoenix Lights, right? You've heard of that
Some
before.
Some good ones from a couple days ago.
All right, so it happened again, and it did happen again a couple of years ago, and it's the same formations.
Yeah.
And we've been seeing this type of formation a lot lately.
Disclaimer, this could be After Effects. I found it in a UFO group on Facebook, so...
As with any of these, it could always be After Effects. But the formation, this particular formation, it's been popping up a lot lately. I don't know if it's maybe one guy doing it or if it's actual legit. This is like some formation stuff.
And if it's not After Effects...
What is this, bro? It's like the stars that are moving, bro. What is this, bro?
All right, now look, this is why this is not After Effects in my opinion. Okay, first of all, look at the crowd. Everybody, you can hear them freaking out. What is this? What is this? All these people filming it, right? What you see a lot is people will take found footage, right, and add something in, and then you're looking at the video and everybody's ignoring it, just going about their business like nothing's going on. But with this here, I'm not saying that they couldn't have found a video of someone filming a fucking plane or something, but this, you know, lends a little credibility in my eyes.
So I thought it would be cool if I recorded too, you know what I'm saying? Oh my god!
Man, you know what it actually looks like to me? I think I'm losing audio or something here, actually, but so sorry if I'm interrupting you.
No, it's okay.
But it's I was actually just driving the other day in Phoebus, actually, leaving there, and I saw a light up in the sky like that, and it was just hovering there, and I just thought, like, is that a helicopter or something, you know? And while I was driving, I kind of tried to get a good look at it, and you know, it had some movement to it, and then I was able to stop and get a better look at it, and it descended very quickly. And I really think it was just a drone, like a commercial drone. The technology's really come a long way. I think even what we're looking at, it's entirely possible for someone to spend like $1,000 and put on that exact light show right there for that amount of time and get that attention, because it is a very, you know, you can see it. It looks exactly like that. It's a bright light in the sky. Being that we can't rule that out, and it's not only 100% possible, but everything we're seeing looks just like that. They're moving just like that, programmatically moving, you know, according to GPS coordinates and everything. I mean, if I saw a big saucer body or the thing move at 200 miles an hour or something like that.
The thing about it too is with these short video clips, you don't see anything before what happens to the objects.
Right.
Do they slowly just come down and land? Do they fucking haul ass out? You know what I mean? That's another thing you got to consider.
Yeah.
Something definitely, this to me is not CGI though. This is a legit video recording. I haven't even brought this into any editing software or anything, but just judging by the people's reactions alone is enough to make me think that something is actually happening there. Now, it's not beyond someone. We saw a hoax video where they actually took a fucking helicopter, painted it up, and just, remember the boat thing? The fisherman with the UFO came in and the jets and all that shit. That was a hoax, man. But it was advertisement for a Spanish TV show or some shit. I mean, so it's not beyond people to organize something like that. But this is just something somebody uploaded to Facebook. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So who knows? I mean, the jury's out. But to me, this is a legitimate recording of something. Like you said, it could be drones.
I would bet $50 it's someone intentionally trying to get this reaction using drones.
Maybe it's a weather balloon.
It's possible, man. I mean, people, like I said, man, what motivates someone to want to, I guess, attention seeking, like you said, man, we're talking about here, blah, 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 blah. Well, I mean, are you making hoax videos, Phantom Spy?
No, I've thought about it, though. I really have.
Yeah, I was going to say, would you like to?
I thought about doing it, too, just to demonstrate how easy it's done and what to look for in the hallmarks, like the difference between a software zoom and an actual camcorder zoom and, you know, stability, shaking with the zoom, all that stuff, man, angles, you name it. I mean, because people get fooled real easily, and I don't know. It's just what it is. I mean, it's sad, though, because... Look, like me, I legitimately want to believe in all of this. You know what I mean? So, but I also, on the other hand, have to be objective. And I'm not going to take something for what it's said to be just because it's said to be because I want to believe.
Right.
You know what I mean? I still remain objective. And I think that's important. Yeah. I think that's important for everyone to still remain objective.
Definitely.
So, what else we got here?
Oh man. We
Oh,
got a ton
speaking
of
of,
stuff.
yeah,
I was
man,
thinking you might want to.
back onto the Eclipse thing and UFOs. That Eclipse of Disclosure event, it is the Corey Good was set up by Corey Good. You know who that is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And hit that whole crew. And there was other people involved with it other than him, but so they did some Eclipse viewings or whatever. It was like a whole conference where they had speakers and, you know, a typical secret space program conference, whatever that is, where people get up and speak. It's essentially a bunch of internet videos on a podium that you pay a bunch of money to go see.
Get your book signed and shit.
But anyway, they came out with these pictures that were and saying it's a Treb. Now, are you familiar with a Treb?
The TR-3B is the big
triangular spaceship.
Okay.
Purported to be made by us humans, and
Gotcha.
looks like you froze up on me here. Let me just do that. There we go. Oh, you back? You back with full movement and everything. All right, so you can see the eclipse here, right? It's real bright. You can't see it, but if you look off to the left, you can see that little thing there. Right now, there's two zoomed versions of it there. Let me go. Let me just pull up this one real quick. Make it easier. All right, so you can see definitely triangular in shape. The outside is lighter, the inside is darker.
Yeah.
And my first immediate thought was, well, was it a bug? You know, I don't know. Then I was thinking a bird, but I was like, again, I don't know. It looks triangular, like it doesn't, like a bird doesn't look triangular. It does, but you could see.
Well, there's no way to get scale on that at all. I mean,
no, there's not. It really.
I don't know what I'm looking at. I mean, that could be a lens effect. Honestly, you know, this huge bright. In fact, that's probably what it is.
But
anytime you have a huge source of light, you have to look for these triangular shapes pointing at the source of light.
I could see
that.
If
they're pointing at the light, then it's a lens effect.
You have to actually,
like its tail is pointing to the right.
Take into consideration the fact that everyone's seen it.
Huh.
You know what I mean? So people saw something up there that wasn't like we took a picture and after the fact we're looking. The people actually witnessed this.
Kind of looks like
I don't know. It's very convenient though that it looks very similar to, you know, refracting light, a lens flare going through the lens, and then essentially, you know, overloading the sensor and creating a black spot.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, take a picture of the sun and it's going to overload your sensor in the center of it. Whereas if it's trying to expose and you're pointed at the sun but not directly at the sun, then it might, you know, I don't know. Cameras can do weird things. Digital cameras,
I know they
especially.
can, man. But what I said was people
saw
something.
It's got white wingtips like a seagull.
They saw something up there. It wasn't like an after the fact going through pictures. Oh, hey, look, it's a Treb. They saw the shit, and someone, you know, obviously they're taking pictures of the fucking eclipse. They got a picture of it.
Yeah.
So, you know, that for me is going to rule out any type of lens or sensor issue. All right, you know, photo bloom, whatever. There may be some involved in the picture around the edges from it reflecting or whatever, but no, people saw something. Is that what they saw? I don't know. Did they see something and they just put that picture out and said, "Hey, this is what we saw"?
Yeah.
Possibility.
Well, what was the account exactly? Like, where did this happen?
This was at the Eclipse of Disclosure conference.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
During the eclipse, and everybody was watching the eclipse, and they saw that shit. Now, I've been hearing a lot of people saying they saw shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
NASA even came out a while ago, like right afterwards, and said that they saw the ISS.
Yeah, what's it? I mean, there's photos of that.
All right, so can you pull up a photo of that?
Yeah, sure.
And we'll look at that and see, because maybe they saw the ISS. Maybe this is the ISS. I mean, what do you think the chances of that? I mean, it's off to the left. Wouldn't it have to have been traveling over the sun?
No, because to see the ISS, you'd have to be viewing it through a massive solar filter.
Okay.
Because it's like
you're not going to see it unless you're looking through a filter. So
you wouldn't see it without a telescope of some sort anyway. I mean, a camera wouldn't.
It would just be like a little black. It'd just be like a little black dot.
Yeah, it's almost indistinguishable from a sunspot anyhow. But here, we'll go ahead and post that up in Trello so you guys can pull it up over there.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's just damn sure interesting.
But
what do you guys think?
I
Give us
think
a call.
that's a seagull.
757-528-8130. No, we will not deliver you a pizza tonight, but we will gladly discuss UFOs and other related things with you
All right, look at the
live
wingtips,
on the
Steve.
air. Give us a call, 757-528-8130. What are you saying about wingtips now?
It's a seagull.
A seagull?
Yeah, look at the wingtips. It's white.
Yeah, but that could be.
It's like a
I mean, it's in the middle. Look at the sun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and
sunlight's going to shine through white feathers like that.
I mean, I can't even tell. Are we looking at like the side of a building, or is that the fucking ocean or something? Like,
Yeah,
what
it's the
is
ocean in
even
the
the
background,
angle
the
here?
they're at Mount Shasta. That's right on the coast of California, ain't it?
So they were looking out at the sea, I guess. Like, I'm trying to figure out what that black or the darker band across the bottom is. If that's, like what are we even looking at? I mean, hopefully this isn't the single picture they got. If I saw another picture, if I saw a single other picture where this same looking thing that looked exactly the same size or whatever, the same shape and everything, and it wasn't pointed at the sun like every single lens effect always is.
Let me do a little research for you real quick. Dan, you got something to read real fast while I dig that up?
Yeah, sure.
Anything related there?
Well, I was thinking about what we were going to hit when we get back from the break, but
I'd like to get into the synthetic telepathy.
Oh man, we got all kinds of synthetic stuff.
Why don't you hit the?
We have synthetic telepathy, we have synthetic psilocybin, we have synthetic music, and we even have synthetic eating.
Why don't you tell us about that synthetic music real quick while I dig this picture up?
Yeah, just recently, the first album composed by an AI has been unveiled. That's it. Yeah, it's an entire album composed by
my 3D.
A music album called "I Am AI." A featured single of which is set to release on August 21st, is the first album completely composed and produced by an artificial intelligence. It worked in collaboration with a human artist that provides input that Amper uses as composing parameters. "Break Free" is the first song released on a new album by Taryn Southern. The song, indeed, is the entire album features an artist known as Amper. But what looks like a typical collaboration between artists, in fact, is not. It's much more than that. Taryn is no stranger to the music and entertainment industry. Well, I've never heard of her, but okay. Has more than 500 million views on YouTube, 450,000 subscribers. Oh, well, she's doing better than we are. Amper is an artificially intelligent music composer, producer, and performer. The AI was developed by a team of professional musicians and technology experts, and it's the very first AI to compose and produce an entire music album. The album is called "I Am AI," and yeah, so it's going to release at August 21st, 2017. They got a video of it, and I mean, I guess we could play that through the break if you really wanted to, but
okay, let me read this for you. I didn't find any more pictures, but I found the post from Corey Good, and he says, "We had a UFO sighting during the eclipse. I was watching the eclipse with the filtered paper glasses and saying a quick prayer for humanity. Oh, you're so righteous. I love you, Space Jesus."
You can detect that virtue signal from orbit.
I was given when I saw a quick flash to the left of the sun. I was about to remark on it when the lady next to me gasped, and she asked me to look at her phone. She had captured a triangular UFO in the exact spot I had seen in the flash. We showed this to the attendees of the Eclipse of Disclosure and went to share them with the rest of the world. So that's the pictures.
That's confirmation bias,
yeah,
man.
okay,
That's
so
like,
you know what, man? I think I read something else from somebody else that
I think that triangular UFO is about to shit on somebody's car.
I think that lady just shit up her fucking phone camera. It's probably never going to work the same again.
Yeah, it was shining at me, Oh, I wonder how my mom's camera's doing because she was doing it. And the truth be told,
man.
I was doing it with my tablet. I don't care about that camera. I got some pictures of the eclipse with my tablet.
Be a whole fucking genocide of cheap disposable fucking digital cameras in 2017, Millions of them across the world just got fucking toasted.
Yeah. And outside of that, we talked about what's his name? William Tompkins a lot. And he wrote a book, and he claimed to be working in think tanks and designing Solar Warden and all this. The book I read most of the book. I never finished it yet. It pretty much reads like a bad sci-fi novel.
Yeah.
It was not at all what I was expecting. But, I guess that's just him. Now, if that story in that book is true, then hell yeah, that's some crazy shit. All right, now they're talking about like getting guided down by like they're flying into this military base like Los Alamos or some shit, and it's storming, blah, 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 and they can't see. It's foggy. There's no visibility. There's no way in hell they can land this thing. They're advising them to circle around and do all this shit, and then they said, "Oh, we'll just let go of the wheel, and the aliens will take us in." And that's, according to him, that's what happened. So you know, whatever, however you may feel like the man, he just passed away.
Oh, that sucks.
So yeah, it sucks. We'll never get to hear the rest of, because he was supposed to be coming out with another book. Yeah, I mean it sucks, man.
Maybe he's got writings or something. Someone can, you know, his family or something.
That's a possibility. And you know, if anybody's got a hold of any of that kind of stuff, it's probably Gaia or David Wilcock or someone in that circle. So I'm sure that you know, if it's out there, it'll come out.
Yeah,
which would be great.
Hopefully,
so,
yeah.
We're going to hit the break, guys. When we get back, we're going to talk a little bit about synthetic telepathy. Oh, it's so awesome, isn't it? When you got the CIA talking into your head through a radio wave, telling you what to do. You know, hey, man, it's real. We talked about it a lot last week when we were talking about this Council of Nine, but we're going to actually break it down and give you some history and some, you know, some more information on that. We've also got plenty more news to go on. You know how that goes. But, you know, we'll see you on the other side. Phantom Spy, mute the mic.
Thought they would follow us, but we were wrong. Thought they would listen. Could have Saturn, virgin mother of virtue. Villainous animals will seek out and hurt you, distort you and twist you and misrepresent you. Your elegant innocence has transformed you into a definite target of manipulations and greedy ravagings that blunder your purity, spoil your seed, shadow you under scrutiny, or hide you entirely from consensus reality. Veritas, one and only. Veritas, our own. Veritas. She's ever elusive. Further and further now, your source gets diluted, and the well is always deeper. How deep can you dive? How deep is your need to stare the truth in the eye? The truth is that you hide from her. You are vulnerable as you lied to yourself.
We're back, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome to the second hour of Reality Brief. If you want to check us out, you can check us out in many different places. You can check us out at the YouTube. You can check us out now at Daily Motion, Twitch. What was that other one?
Oh,
You Know?
Yeah, You Now.
Oh, man. You Now. Like just like all of them, man. Just like all of them, dude. We're like just everywhere. We're just wow, look at us. You can also hit us up on the Facebook, Reality Brief. You can hit us up at the Twitter as Reality Brief 111. Check out our Facebook group. Join it up. We post lots of nice postings for you guys. Perusal. And, if you really like us, you can head over to patreon.com/realitybrief. Maybe consider pledging $1 a month or something like that. That would help us out a lot.
Yeah, just a little bit.
It does cost money to run the show, and, hey, we're just average guys. But, whatever. Enough about us. And I guess we're still waiting on Phantom Spy. So you want to go ahead and lead?
Yeah, I was thinking if we had, an interstellar space base and we really wanted to stash it somewhere where nobody was going to find it, somewhere kind of off the beaten path where you wouldn't expect a whole lot of traffic. Most people would probably build their bases on something going around a star. But what if you could skip all that and just put it around a brown dwarf instead?
That would be pretty interesting.
Well,
before you even go there,
I already went there.
Tell me, what is a brown dwarf?
A brown dwarf is like something smaller than a star, but bigger than Jupiter. Like something probably about 5 to 10 masses of times the mass of Jupiter would qualify as a brown dwarf. And it's a failed star. It's just right there on the brink to where it still kicks out a ton of heat from internal forces, but it's just not big enough to start that engine of nuclear fusion that causes it to go and start giving off light. It's an almost star.
It's an almost star. So what would the temperature be at one of these things?
It depends on how old it is. The longer it's been around, the longer it's possibly able to cool off. They found brown dwarfs with surface temperatures as low as 70 degrees Fahrenheit.
So, wow. So if it was solid, you could walk on it.
Yeah, except it's probably like a big Jupiter with, raging winds up to thousands of miles and no solid ground or anything like that.
But possible for a cloud city.
Well, it'd be also if it had a moon. So you could, it's still got a ton of gravity, so there could be something orbiting that. Even though that unfortunate planet, moon, whatever you want to call it, is kind of stuck wandering in eternal night. If it's like Europa, if you had an icy ball like that, you could have something that was ice on the surface, but still managed to cook life up inside of it.
Now, how much visible light do these things kick out?
Not much at all.
Not much at all. So you wouldn't be
unless you're able to see it infrared.
So infrared mostly.
Yeah, mostly infrared light, mostly heat energy. Because again, there's not enough. You don't get the light that you get from nuclear fusion, like the actual starlight.
And how prevalent do you think? Like, we discover these all the time?
They're pretty common.
So we can see them.
Yeah. And
so it's not that covert as you might think. Because
in fact, now they're getting so good at seeing them that they can actually improve weather forecasts on them. This article from Phys.org is talking about NASA's Spitzer Space Telescope is now able to detect the particles in brown dwarfs' atmospheres, the thickness of the silicate clouds. They suggest that these clouds are organized in bands confined to different latitudes, a lot like Jupiter. You know how Jupiter has the stripes all across it? Well, then we'd probably expect brown dwarfs to look a lot like Jupiter or Saturn.
Right.
With the atmospheric banding and the waves. And, different waves are going to affect how it looks, from orbit. And we see this sort of phenomenon in our own solar system on the outer planets. Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. But they're kind of like super planets. They could be the same size as Jupiter, but way more massive because it's denser.
So now a lot of people are speculating that Nibiru. Okay, we've all heard Nibiru for years and years and years, but there's some talk of brown dwarfs being that. So, and then more recently, we had that thing with. You remember Sean, NASA buddy, telling us about the brown dwarf, and he was calling it Nibiru, and it was a cover-up and all this shit. Remember, we talked about it back when, and I think Phantom Spy provided the 4chan material for that. You remember that?
Yeah, they were saying there's something big out on the edge of the solar system.
And they had that picture of, and it looked like Keck, remember?
Vaguely,
Phantom Spy. You sent it to me. It was...
Yeah, sorry, I was making some soup. What's going on, guys?
You remember remember a while back you sent me that 4chan breakdown or whatever it was of, some event. I think they were saying September 24th or September 27th or something, and they had these NASA images and of like a piece of it missing, and then they were like cross references with this, and it looked like Keck's face.
Yeah, what the fuck was that? I can't remember what the constellation was, but it's it is weird that that section of it's like a microwave image, but that section of the sky map on sky.google.com is blocked out now, very, very strangely. But yeah, definitely a nice apparition there. For sure.
So what we're doing here is discussing brown dwarfs, and you're familiar with brown dwarfs, I'm sure, and the possibility that could be connected with that and Nibiru, and also the possibility of space program bases set up around these things, because some of them have been measured, as Dan said, at 70 degrees Fahrenheit. They would be close to Jupiter, gaseous.
Well, and it makes sense that anything that's cool is probably going, and that big is probably going to have amassed some quantity of liquid water. And if it's that temperature, then it's possible that even the upper layers of the atmosphere might have clouds of water vapor floating around in them, which would make it a pretty convenient place to harvest water.
Yep.
For sure.
And, if we got any veterans out there listening and want to call in and tell us about a base that's around a brown dwarf, you can do that now. That number is 757-528-8130. We'd love to hear from you. Or if you have anything else to say, whatever. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know about this recent thing with that missing, but, I mean, if there was a brown dwarf on its way here and it was going to... What would happen, Dan, if a brown dwarf started approaching the solar system?
Well, the gravitational chaos would definitely throw the planets out of whack. Even Jupiter, because a brown dwarf, by definition, would have to be more massive than Jupiter. So it would basically fuck everything all to hell.
Right. So it would change orbits and all that shit, right?
Oh, yeah. Stuff would get thrown out of orbits. Stuff would get thrown into the sun. Planets might smack into each other. Be a grand old time.
So now, if there was a brown dwarf on it, what would happen if a brown dwarf approached the sun? Like, would it get pulled in? Like, you're talking Jupiter. How big would one of these be in comparison with Sol?
Things don't.
Probably maybe. Well, again, it could be the same size as Jupiter, even like that small, but then twice as massive because it's got more material packed into it. But you could have something 10 times the size of Jupiter, and if it happened to come careening out of interstellar space and smacked right into the sun, then I mean it would probably at least go nova and probably wipe out most of the inner solar system and a good chunk of the atmosphere of the outer planets too.
Yeah, that would really be a slim chance, though. Like the vast majority of possible trajectories for anything to interact with the sun would just be maybe curving around it to some extent.
Yeah, depends on how close it came.
Yeah.
Now, keep in mind, they've also found...
I mean, even if it came really close, it would still pass beside it. I mean,
they found starless planets out there, too.
Shot.
Well,
Planemos,
I'm wondering... Well, if it got... That's what I'm saying. Would it get caught? I guess it would. Jupiter does, right?
Depends on the math. It depends on...
So, now, we were talking last week, I think, about two... what do you call those? The twin stars that orbit each other?
Binary stars.
Binary
Alpha
stars.
Centauri.
When they merge with each other.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it creates a black hole.
Yeah.
Now, you think that's could that be a possibility? Now, listen, guys.
No.
We're not pushing the world's going to end because of we're just talking here.
Hypothetically, if a brown dwarf smacked into our sun, it probably still wouldn't be enough to create
a black hole.
A black hole. It would probably create a nova, but not a supernova.
Okay. Interesting tidbit. So
the sun would definitely swallow a brown dwarf. Now, keep in mind, there's always the possibility they'd get just locked into a gravitational dance, which would probably happen either way. And most of the inner solar system would probably get flung out into interstellar space.
Now, what would you imagine the benefits of setting up a station around a black A brown dwarf, a black dwarf.
A brown dwarf? Well, it's not a star, so
right.
You would think that, you know, if you, let's say that, like, Earth Defense Force was squaring up for a big exchange with the Draconians.
Mm-hmm.
And they wanted to position a bunch of forces somewhere where the Draconians weren't going to look. Something without much perceived value as a military target. A brown dwarf might be a good place to set up for an attack.
Like a staging ground.
Yeah. a good place to hide out and, like, you know.
Yeah, because all you would have to do...
It'd be a great place to hide a shipyard, especially if it had lots of moons or, you know, planets.
And even though it's not a sun or a star as bright or as violent as ours, I'm sure it puts out a great deal of radiation that would probably screw with sensors, too, with being that close to it.
Yeah.
I wonder what type of shielding you would have to have for that shit, man. Probably have to be pretty damn hardcore, man.
Standard Mark 12 shields. Anything purple or better.
Anything purple or better.
Yeah.
Very rare or better. So, with that behind us, I would like to move on to the realm of mind control.
Oh, yeah, that whole synthetic telepathy thing, huh?
So, man, this thing here, I'm going to go ahead and pop this over. Now, this page is mindcontrol.se. It's got a lot of information. I'm not endorsing this website. I haven't been through everything on this website, but
we kind of just found it.
This stuff here seems like everything else I've heard. So we're gonna go ahead and use this as our basis.
And if there's anything we love,
conversation.
If there's anything that we love here at Reality Brief, it's finding these insane bottomless rabbit holes to send you guys looking down.
So, you know, and if we come across something that you hear that you know to be just wrong, no, give us a call right there. 757-528-8130. Here we go. Artificial Telepathy 101. Starting out with a basic primer for you guys here. The experience of artificial telepathy is really not that extraordinary. It's as simple as receiving a cell phone call in one's head. Indeed, most of the technology involved is exactly identical to that of a cell phone technology. Satellites link the sender and the receiver. A computer multiplexer routes the voice signal of the sender through microwave towers to a very specifically defined location or cell. The receiver is located and tracked with pinpoint accuracy to within a few feet of actual location. But the receiver is not a cell phone. It's the human brain. The human brain. Out of nowhere, a voice suddenly blooms in the mind of the target. The human skull has no firewall. So it's not a computer, doesn't have firewall, doesn't come with McAfee, and therefore cannot shut the voice out. The receiver can hear the sender's verbal thoughts. The sender, in turn, can hear all the target's thoughts, exactly as if the target verbal thoughts had been spoken or broadcast. For this reason, the experience could be called hearing voices, but is more properly described as artificial telepathy. Now, if artificial telepathy were entirely voluntary, like a conversation between friends sitting across a room from each other, it might be kind of cool. Which, yeah, I think it would be cool. Like, it'd be even cooler to be able to do it without artificial means. You know what I mean? Like,
well, all I'm saying is if you want a firewall, I suggest McMaster.com. Do a search for nickel foil, and it'll come right up.
Damn, we just got paid $1. So, one could talk back and forth with one's friend, exchanging verbal thoughts exactly as if speaking on the phone, but without ever using one's voice or mouth. Oh, yeah, it's completely silent, subvocal form of speech between lovers. This would be beautiful. Are you eating soup on the air? I love you, Phantoms. I eat the soup on the air. Make sure you get it in the mic real good. I hope nobody else has that disease you got. What's it called? Microfleepioplia?
That's what it's called.
Okay. So the problem is that artificial telepathy provides the perfect weapon for mental torture and information theft. It provides an extremely powerful means for exploiting, harassing, controlling, and raping the mind of any person on Earth. It opens the window to the quasi-demonic possession of another person's soul.
I wonder if it's just limited to speech, to like language.
It would seem.
I would think like being able to send images and concepts and thoughts and stuff like that, you know, as opposed to like just a language, a sentence.
If you've got a computer doing it, or is it just like a radio? I guess we'll find out as we move along. I'm sure there's plenty of different ways they can do it because they've been working on this type of shit for a long time. It's probably evolved to the point to where they just sit in a room with a machine and it's like they're telepathic. You know what I mean?
Feed in a JPEG.
Feed in a JPEG and they bust out the crop circle.
Yo.
Upload.
That's what we need, the official Reality Brief meme beam. Where we beam the memes directly into your brain from orbit.
Yeah.
Make it happen. Meme it into reality.
Okay, so when used as a non-lethal weapon system, it becomes an ideal means for neutralizing or discrediting a political opponent. Peace protesters, inconvenient journalists, and the leaders of vocal opposition groups can be stunned into silence with this weapon. I mean, anybody could.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. They have this power. This is like, give up, you know what I mean? Like, what the fuck? Well, I guess if you're aware of it, that helps you not be susceptible to it, right? I mean, how does this voice appear in your head? Does it appear as your own voice?
Right.
How do you interpret it? So
it's definitely voice of God technology.
So artificial telepathy also offers an ideal means for complete invasion of privacy. If all thoughts can be read, then passwords, PIN numbers, personal secrets cannot be protected. One cannot be alone in a bathroom or shower. Embarrassing private moments cannot be hidden. They are subject to all manner of hurtful comments and remarks. Evidence can be collected for blackmail with tremendous ease. All the wrongs or moral lapses of one's past are up for review. Wow, so are they saying that they can actually root through your memories with this shit?
Mm-hmm.
So like a perverted phone caller, a hostile person with this technology in hand can call at any time of day, all day long. Sleep can be disrupted. Prayers can be desecrated. Religious beliefs mocked. Business meetings can be interrupted. Thoughts derailed. Love can be polluted, perverted, twisted, abused. Dreams can be invaded. Fond memories trashed. The attacker cannot be seen or identified, and the attacker cannot be stopped.
This sounds like fucking, Darkfleet's wet dream.
And the psychological damage is enormous.
Control, motherfucker. This is how you do it.
Yeah.
There is no physical damage. Not one single mark is left on the body, and absolutely no proof that any crime or violation ever took place. Everything that happens to the victim happens inside the victim's head. What physical evidence is there to give the police without physical description? How can one photograph the crime scene or fingerprint the stalker? There are no footprints leading to or from the scene. Indeed, there is no physical scene at all and no evidence that an attacker ever took place. Well, I would think if it's being broadcast by a specific wave, there should be...
You basically have to have tricorder readings of all the energy in the air, all the radiation in the area.
Right. You should be able to...
It's a lot of radiation.
At least find it. I don't know if you can pinpoint where it's coming from.
I mean, it's without anything to go on. I mean,
well, I mean,
from what type of signal?
It's radio signals, right?
Yeah, but if you knew what band to start looking at, I mean, you can't just look.
Yeah, you're right, because it doesn't matter, because it's all gonna be there no matter what. Huh.
Yeah.
So most people who experience this abusive form of artificial telepathy feel as if their mind has been raped. They find themselves hunted, stalked, harassed, and abused by a person or persons who refuse to give their names, who defile one's mind with the most foul and perverse language imaginable. I don't know, man. I can imagine some pretty foul and perverse language.
Think about it. If you had the power to do this, would you just fuck with people and be like, ha, pussy fart, ha,
Dude. Think about
devil money, fuck.
I know it's even kind of cliche, man, but think about all the fucking, I mean, you see it in movies a lot. I gotta imagine this actually happened. People sitting in insane asylums, diagnosed schizophrenic because the CIA's fucking with them. You know what I mean? They're just playing around with their fucking toys, or whoever is doing this.
Right.
I mean, automatically go to the CIA because they're the ones fucking with the shit.
Well, it makes you wonder if, some people that fall victim to that kind of stuff aren't actually being used as test subjects.
I'm sure it's happened, yeah.
But the government would never do that.
Okay, so Neuroscience Research Institute of Europe, Sweden develops a new era of global access mind reading and mind control technology. Synthetic telepathy is a two-way communication channel between computer and brain interface. Synthetic telepathy could be used for telemetry, remote control, healthcare, as well as government tool for mind control.
What did we just finish reading about?
Neuroscientists in many countries say they're afraid of these new techniques and ask for an ethical debate before it's too late.
Oh, it's already far too late.
They point out that the
cat's out of the bag.
They point out the potential abuse is great. The potential for abuse is great.
Inevitability of abuse.
The Kingdom of Sweden, together with the government of the United States, an agreement for a collaboration to develop products for the home state systems. Let's check this out. Google Translate.
I can't wait.
Regenskansgate. Page cannot be found. May have been deleted. Okay. Moving on.
You're not allowed to see that.
Sweden's role in the home member state security is obvious. It depends on Sweden's superior knowledge of nanotechnology, advanced radar and optical sensor technology. Europe also has traditions and knowledge from the development and manufacture of weapons through such companies as Saab and Bofors. Stockholm Brain Institute is composed of 10 independent neuroscience research teams. Has developed a medical imaging technique including synthetic telepathy. I myself have worked for the Defense Research Agency, FOIA, Department of Defense, FOI.
FOI.SE.
What is FOI.SE? We're going to have to find out what that is, too. Department of Defense and Security Systems and Technology. I was working with complex technical systems for today's requirements for both military and civilian spheres. When I was informed of synthetic telepathy and Stockholm Brain Institute, I decided that for ethical reasons to leave all government projects and instead share with you this information in order to put an end to the suffering of victims. So, apparently this guy is blowing some whistles here. Maybe a trumpet. Cannot be found. Here we go. How civil defense can be built on emergency preparedness. So this is Sweden's, what do you call it, FEMA.
Yeah, pretty much.
Looks like.
It's like Sweden's DARPA.
Increased IT protection required. Yeah, this is Sweden's DARPA. My bad. All right, so let's see what else we can find here. I mean, this thing is like
mind control Europe, the brain reading computers.
Speaking of Sweden and nanotech,
all sorts of fun stuff.
Let's check out the brain chip implant in the brain of Magnus Olsson. A successful businessman visits the nearest hospital after an anxiety attack. He is sedated and wakes up a different person. His life is starting to change. The voice coming from nowhere can tell him what time it is, the correct time.
Time to obey.
The mental and psychological torture and control starts to take place. On one hand, they are telling him awful things, like you are never going to wake up when going to bed every evening, or we are disappointed you woke up every time he was waking up in the morning. On the other side, they can manipulate his feelings and perceptions and create the most positive feelings. Alright, so this guy, let's check it out. We're going to get sued. I don't care. It's for you guys. No, we're going to get sued for you. I don't even care.
Well, in Sweden, they don't care. Aren't they like Marxists anyhow?
International Center Against Abuse of Covert Technologies.
Well, and you know anything a government does is the opposite of what it says it does. So that makes this pretty ominous.
So this is this guy that's claiming to have this chip that's telling him, you know, you're not going to wake up in the morning. We're disappointed you woke up in the morning. This is a scanning of his head to see if there's RF coming out.
Like, what if you had one of those implants and they just said, like, moderately
Alright, let's check this right
negative
here.
things to you all the time, like
you're going to lose your keys this afternoon.
Your suit looks bad with your shoes.
Everybody's looking at you.
You smell like garlic.
Alright, so they're detecting RF coming out of his brain. Now I know
that comb over makes you look like a bot.
This could be anything, right? The guy could be walking up to look, you know, sometimes you just gotta be like, hey, let's just take this for what it is and not tear it apart as this guy's got a little noise oscillator in a box that he's hitting a button on that.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see him hold that antenna up to his head or someone else's head and see if it does anything similar, you know?
Well, it's looking like
It reminds me of that one bug sweeper you told me you were going to make that one time.
Was he knighting him with it?
I MK mind control. So, I mean, there you got that. So
The official MK Ultra mating dance.
I mean, you know, and I've talked to quite a few people who claim to be on the receiving end of this shit, and it doesn't sound fun, man. The whole targeted individual thing, man, is fucking brutal. Yeah. It's like what they were talking about with the, you know, but that's a minor light case compared to some of the shit I've heard, man. Like,
but again, why? You know, why would anyone?
Well,
want to end that? I mean,
in the case of, you know, the people I've been talking to, it's got to do with the deep black projects and,
right,
you know, recruitment in the space program, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
This guy, on the other hand, I don't know. Maybe just because, look, man, the hubris, man, just to see if they could do it. They do shit just to see if they could do it, and they got to do it to somebody, right?
Yeah, true.
Somebody's got to be the guinea pig.
So, what is this? Are you Robo Sapiens? Oh my. So those who know something about frequencies and nano-microwave implant techniques already surely know that what one has possibilities to control. Through this, every computer is connected to the new Internet Elon, E-L-E-N. So in principle, absolutely all are in danger zone for attack.
Do you want the Borg? Because this is how you get the Borg.
So, if one then uses the modified ELF extremely low frequency, an artificial brain frequency implant. So, now I don't know if you know this, but they Gwen Towers, I think they were called. They set up this network of extremely low frequency antennas, essentially across the country, and it was to be used with, if I'm not mistaken, it was set up through Rex 81.
84.
84.
Rex 84.
Rex 84. I could be wrong about that, but I'm not wrong about this actually happening. So they have this network of antennas to broadcast in extremely low frequencies for continuity of government. You know, in case the other communicate, you know, super low frequencies. Typically, the only other application for that is like broadcasting to a sub,
right?
Because it could penetrate the ocean. You know what I mean? But they decommissioned them, but they're all still there, so they could be converted to be used into anything. You know what I mean? Like, then you think about the cell phone tower infrastructure that's everywhere. Well, man, one of my worst fears, I think, is the nationalization of communications, and because that just totally gives the government all those antennas, and they could easily just put something on. You know, it's already the legwork's already been done. All they got to do is add something.
Well, it's basically like that already. I mean, they license and they permit.
There's the emergency broadcast.
They license the land. They lease the land, right? And then they pay
every stage of like the approval process, putting up an antenna.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But it's still a private. It's still a private company in control of it that has the decision what to add to it or what not to add to it. Right.
Until they flip the switch.
Government doesn't say you're going to put our government brainwash box on there.
Yeah,
well,
but
the government does say that.
Is in a position to go and do that themselves with any antenna.
If they were going to brainwash?
No, true, but I believe it's pretty specific for this type of frequency. I mean, the super low, and this is like the subsonic frequency. You ever heard of like people getting sick from sound, like ultra low?
Yeah.
You know what?
Like
I think we've probably got a specialist on this listening right now that can call in at 757-528-8130 that probably works with sound every day and probably knows all about this, but you know,
who could it be?
Who can it be now? So,
well, what if you had this synthetic telepathy and this, you know, everybody connected by the internet, and all of a sudden, we found out that it wasn't just Russians hacking us, it was also aliens hacking into our data system to study us.
Sounds like some Michael Sala.
Yeah, it might be, but, you know, what if it's true? What if we're getting hacked by the Pleiadians?
Hey, who are the Pleiadians, though? Everybody says they're the Pleiadians, right?
Yeah, but, yeah, I mean, if you think about it, Earth's data infrastructure is probably wide open to anybody wanting to sit up off-world and hack us.
It is true.
You know, one quantum computer and it's done.
Where was it?
So we've got this article from exonews.org, and let's see, yeah, who was this by?
Probably Sala.
Yeah.
I think that's the only person that writes for that.
There's we don't always know who's doing the hacking, especially when top-level targets or large stores of data are involved. What if aliens don't need to observe us or spy on us like they used to because we're effectively spying on ourselves for them? Nearly everyone in the developed world has a device with a camera and a microphone installed. Billions of people send private messages daily. Billions more input sensitive financial info and health information directly into those devices. You know, clear means for any being or group who wants to learn more about us. Wouldn't you take advantage of this?
Yeah, but, I mean, that's a given, man. I mean, you know, it's interesting to think about and all, but I really do think that if you would think that some type of alien species would come here and not look at our data streams, you know what I mean, like radio frequency or whatever we're using to communicate as some basic ass kindergarten shit to them, right? If they could travel interstellar blah 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 wormhole, they can get there like that. They got that level of technology. This little bit of crap we're doing right now should be nothing for them to pick up on and go through. And you know, maybe that's why they don't want to talk to us. They watching MTV.
We've seen Reality Brief. It is terrible.
It is the worst internet broadcast in the history of the universe.
We would not abduct you with his beams.
And I watched Reptilians Got Talent. Oh man. Well, look, we're getting up close to the end of the show, but there's one thing I definitely want to talk about, and that's this. Scientists again. Damn you, scientists. All you scientists. Scientists create Terminator-style robot with self-healing flesh.
Yeah.
Why?
The Robo-apocalypse. It's happening.
Oh my god, man. Oh my god. Look, I don't know why I'm so scared of robots. Maybe it's because I watched too many
Elon Musk and Stephen Hawking say you should.
I think I watched too many damn sci-fi movies and read too much damn Isaac Asimov. I'm done with this, man. I'm done with this. So the human-like abilities of robots continue to develop at an incredible pace. You know, I read another article partly. Because whatever, it's stupid. They're saying that people are saying that sex with robots is better than sex with humans. This is the end.
Yo, I remember that.
You know how they got they got those sex bots, right?
And they had that video about why humans and robots shouldn't breed, because eventually your planet will die off, and then aliens will show up and run you down like the dogs you are once your numbers have dwindled far enough. It was on Futurama. It's got to be true.
Okay, but now scientists have taken the potential for human-like resemblance to the next level with the creation of artificial self-healing skin. Oh, boy. Scientists at the, I don't know how to say that, Brigitte University, Bruxelles. Oh, they like waffles.
Breeze.
They've managed to give robots self-healing properties which allow them to recover, even if they are stabbed or gashed with a knife. You remember Tabby from Futurama? Stab, stab, stab. The development evokes visions of Arnold Schwarzenegger as the cyborg assassin in the Terminator movies. But fortunately for humankind, these self-healing robots aren't likely to go on a rampage anytime soon.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
you don't know that.
That's just what a rampaging robot would say.
For now, they're more likely to be found grabbing fruit, veg, and soft products on factory floors. They can also play an important role in creating human-like prosthetics.
Grabbing vag?
It's the new Trump arm. Robots can not only be made lighter and safe, they will also work longer independently. Yeah. Killer robots might seem like a long time away from becoming reality, but experts have raised concerns that our foes might use them to build super strong armies of the future.
What do you mean killer robots might seem a long way from becoming reality?
That shit says-
Don't you guys remember that article about,
oh my god, dude.
you know, after Obama left office, his favorite drone waited around on the porch of the White House for a week waiting for his master to come home?
Pretty good.
Droney the attack drone.
Kill.
It's all right though because you know.
Well, on top of that,
Trump is taking good care of Droney.
a lab in Bristol is demonstrating robots that eat pollution. So after we're finished destroying this planet, the robots will have plenty to subsist off of.
Hold on, this is the one that we need to talk about right now, and I've already got it queued up. We'll have to get to that afterwards.
Yeah. Yep.
Robot that needs food to survive.
Whoa, it's me.
Okay, so Boffin's developed droid which can eat, digest, and die. We talked about this particular thing a while ago. It wasn't this exact article that we had.
A water-based robot.
Bristol's University Robotics Laboratory have developed the soft robot, which feeds on living organisms, can digest them, and even die at the end of its lifespan. The robot, which is water-based, consumes algae through its soft polymer membrane mouth. The mechanical being has a microbial fuel cell in its stomach, which can break down organic matter and convert it into energy to sustain itself.
This is going to
This
revolutionize
oh my God,
the
it's
field
a
of
brilliant
corpse
idea.
disposal.
What is wrong with this idea? There's nothing. Oh my God, all you have to do is take this technology and mate it with the self-healing Terminator technology, and the next thing you know, you're not just getting wiped out by robots, you're getting fucking eaten too.
Hell yeah.
Come on. Look. With the rate that artificial intelligence is exploding, dude, this is not good for us, man.
The future is so bright, I need Eclipse glasses.
We're gonna have that robo war.
Oh my God, man. So,
It's coming.
That's awesome.
we've had robots that can eat before, but our robots are much closer to living organisms with a soft mouth and stomach and an animal-type metabolism. It has a fucking metabolism.
Does it have an entire...
I wonder if it incinerates
Does it
it.
shit?
Yeah, does it shit? What's robot shit
Do we
look
have
like?
the first robo shit?
Screws, it poops out little screws.
Dovetailing what Dan's got over there, ultimately we want to make robots that can eat pollutants, then degrade to nothing when they die.
got this nice big long
Wait,
TED Talk
if
video
robots
about
are
this.
dying, then they're alive.
It's
Okay?
fucking eating Phantom Spy.
It's eating and it's living its life and it's dying and it's decaying and getting eaten by other fucking... You created a fucking life form.
It's the circle
Dude.
of life, bro.
That's what I'm
Somebody,
telling you, that's
I
what we
really
are.
hope to
That's
God,
what our DNA is.
I really hope
It's
to
some code from some ancient technology, that just went on and on and on and on.
artificial intelligence in the center of the earth.
Yeah,
So,
we are the bringers of the light,
oh my God, dude. So like,
I'd really like to think so.
Why, dude? Why?
Oh, my light just burned out.
Why not?
Look, I got.
That light bulb's been on for like 2 years.
Crazy.
The robot, which is based on the water boatman insect, will eventually be shrunk from the 30 centimeters that it currently is to a minuscule 1/10 of a centimeter. I mean, we're bordering on nanobot technology.
Yeah.
What the fuck, man? All of a
Nanobots-
sudden, you just
nanobots
get
that eat
eaten
oil.
by a swarm of nanobots, dude?
There are worse ways to go, okay?
Oh my, how? That's pretty bad, man.
It would just be like getting eaten, like
Like
getting
piranhas.
dissolved in acid or something. I mean, as far as what it would look like or feel like.
But it's all good because, look, this guy will bake you some fucking muffins. After a long day of killing humans.
Do you see these muffins? My creator is in them. He tried to hurt me.
I am baking.
You're not going to try to hurt me, are you, Steve?
I am baking my God. Oh,
God
boy,
has made
man.
these muffins.
All right,
this
let's see
year.
if we can get
Oh.
sued for this one, too. Oh, God, that music.
If you've ever watched
All right,
What is
the
that?
Japanese anime show Gundam Wing, you may have fantasized about owning and piloting your own giant humanoid robot. Well, now the chance may finally be yours. Engineers in Osaka, Japan, led by lead designer Hajime Sakamoto, have finally finished a massive operational humanoid robot after 6 years of construction. The robot is 13 feet tall, weighs 660 pounds, and the built-in cockpit into which the driver of the robot can climb and direct the movements of the metal suit.
It has 10,000 hit points and is weak versus lightning attacks.
All right, that's enough of your bullshit, sir. What the fuck, man?
Well, no, tell me this. What if you had a synthetic life form with a synthetic metabolism, and then you fed it synthetic psilocybin?
Whoa.
Because that's a thing now. Magic mushrooms have been synthesized in a lab. Check this out. They've actually done that. It was a lab in Germany.
That can't be good for anyone.
According to the journal Angewandte Chemie, it means applied chemistry, not stone chemists. Scientists at Friedrich Schiller University Jena, a college, what a shock, decided to tackle the mass production of psilocybin from a chemical standpoint, since growing mushrooms is slow and genetically altering them is difficult.
Quick, feed the robot the mushroom pills!
All of a sudden, it's contemplating its own...
We'll defeat Skynet with the power of mushrooms!
It begins contemplating its own existence and drives itself into a fountain.
Yeah, what would that be like to be a robot tripping? You know, to be a conscious AI and then be tripping at the same time.
Oh my god.
It'd be like Tron.
You know what it would be like?
Inside of Tron.
It would be
inside
like...
of 2001: A Space Odyssey.
It would be like Terminator.
Inside of Tron.
It'd be like
It'd be
the
just like
beginning of
tripping.
the original Terminator.
Tripping.
Judgment Day. Oh, look.
He has a bad trip and
Dude,
wipes
check it
out
out.
humanity.
I've got quantum arm. That's pretty dope.
What sorcery is this?
Oh, wow. See what happens when you got occultic symbols in your broadcast?
Mm-hmm.
You get quantum arm. Anyway, with the mushrooms, where are we? I'm sorry, Jesus.
We are kind of coming up on time, but you know.
Well, it doesn't matter, man. We can go till whenever we
Yeah,
feel like it.
I guess we could.
We don't have any masters anymore. We can do what we want. No lords, no masters.
Well, you remember?
Well, I gotta eat this soup, so that's what I'm gonna do. Listen to you guys.
Not too long after we first got started with Reality Brief, we had an article about that one star that had the huge portion of light being blocked out by what some people thought could possibly be an alien megastructure.
Right.
Well, they think there's a Saturn analog there.
A Saturn analog.
Yeah, they think that they've discovered a gas planet around Tabby's star that has big old Saturn-esque rings. So in addition to whatever this alien megastructure is, they think that it's also could be something a little less fantastic, namely a big Saturn-like planet with wobbly rings.
Oh, so that's what they're thinking. It's just that's why it appears random and shit.
Yeah, KIC 8462852, also called Tabby star, and it's got this erratic pattern of brightening and dimming. And now they're thinking that maybe it's a hot Saturn that gets really close to the star and has really big rings that block out a ton of light. So, maybe it is, maybe it's not. Where the telescope technology is going to have to get a little bit better, or somebody in Darkfleet's going to have to give us a ride or something.
Well, that is much more likely than, unfortunately, than some, Dyson sphere in construction or something like that.
I mean,
but that kind of stuff's got to be out there, though.
Even
sure.
Given that there are civilizations that got to have at least a billion-year head start on us.
Right.
But you know what it is? I bet you anything. What it is civilizations reach a point where what we're about to reach, where we begin to go inward. We go into the brain and explore reality that way, as opposed to, creating these enormous structures in actual reality.
Right.
I mean, think about it. Why? Eventually we'll be living in little tiny computers.
The only way
orbiting around dark stars somewhere.
I guess naturally, the only way that you would want or need to build something like that, aside from just the hubris of it, would be population expansion.
Yeah, but how controllable is that? Just realistically imagine having enough people to justify or sustain that. I mean, it would be, trillions of people.
Yeah, imagine having the technology necessary to control a star, even a tiny one.
Yeah, I mean, look, even even in the whistleblower testimonies, you don't hear anything being talked about approaching the scope of a Dyson sphere, man. I mean, you're talking about encapsulating an entire solar system, dude.
Now, I guess if you could, through your nanoparticles and specific enzymes or whatever that you're injecting into everyone's brains, if you could control them, and you could breed millions and billions of slaves, then I suppose you could control them all directly and put them all to work. I suppose it's
like a Borg hive mind,
right? For like some giant, hive mind organism, exactly. To build something like that. But again, you come back to like why?
Well, is it possible to create a giant number of robot slaves to do this for you without them achieving sentience and overthrowing you?
That's much more likely again.
No, it's not. They're gonna achieve sentience and overthrow you. Ain't you ever seen Ghost in the Machine?
What is
Ain't
my
you ever
purpose
read
in life?
iRobot? I mean,
you
come
pass
on,
butter.
dude. Ain't you ever read iRobot?
Man, I would like to say, as far as books getting turned into movies, that Dark Tower movie was one of the worst movies that I've ever seen in my entire life.
Oh, really? Because I was gonna watch it, but the audio was out of sync with the video. Is it really that bad?
I hate when
so
that happens.
Bad.
I mean, I read the books.
Nothing that happens in that movie happened in the books. Nothing. They took some names, and that's it. There's no other similarities.
Great.
Yeah, fuck it, man. It's terrible.
Well, before we go, let's just talk about our favorite Nazis real quick. NASA has a $3.46 billion plan to ensure the Yellowstone supervolcano doesn't erupt. As if they could do that. How would you even go? All right, in brief, NASA has detailed a plan to prevent the Yellowstone supervolcano from ever erupting.
Well, NASA, what are you even doing? You don't fuck with volcanoes and shit.
National Aeronautics Space Association? Is that
NASAV?
what it is?
National Aeronautics and Space Administration.
NASA. As supervolcano. Nazi. NASA has detailed a plan to prevent Yellowstone supervolcano from ever erupting by drilling into the volcano and pumping water into and out at high speeds. They believe they could cool the volcano and use the emerging hot water to generate electricity.
What if they spun all the magma into a vortex and used it to create a gate?
It sounds like a case of don't poke the bear to me, man.
Yeah.
From threat to ally. I mean, look, super cool idea, but on the surface, seems like a super cool idea, but what are the ramifications of this?
Of turning Yellowstone into a giant
is
steam
that
engine?
Is that gonna affect the electromagnetic
brilliant, actually.
field of the planet by cooling the magma that's there? Because isn't that
we wouldn't be able to cool it that much, to make it dormant or anything. I mean, they could siphon off some of the energy, I'm sure. I mean, you got to think they've got hot springs there that have been going for hundreds of years. Think
about how much free power they're sitting on top of. I mean, that actually makes a lot of sense.
Sure.
That'd be enough power to keep the entire United States running.
Well, I'm trying to pull up the details on the plan here, since it wants to bounce us around. NASA's ambitious plan to save Earth from a supervolcano. Okay, so following an article we published about supervolcanoes last month, a group of NASA researchers got in touch to share a report previously unseen outside the space agency about the threat and what could be done about it. Okay. There are around 20 known supervolcanoes. Good to know.
And the only one where shit's about to hit the fan is
Okay,
Yellowstone.
so when NASA scientists came to consider the problem, they found the most logical solution could be simply to cool a supervolcano down. A volcano the size of Yellowstone is essentially a gigantic heat generator, equivalent to 6 industrial power plants. So not power in the country. Not with 6 power plants, dude.
Okay, well, at least like Colorado, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you can power a couple states, probably. Okay, via water. Yellowstone currently leaks about 60 to 70% of the heat coming up from below into the atmosphere via water, which seeps into the magma chamber through cracks. The remainder builds up inside the magma, enabling it to dissolve more and more volatile gases and surrounding rocks. Once this heat reaches a certain threshold, then an explosive eruption is inevitable. But if more of the heat could be extracted, then the supervolcano would never erupt. NASA estimates that if 35% increase in heat transfer could be achieved from its magma chamber, Yellowstone would no longer pose a threat. The only question is, how? I got an idea. Big old fucking ice cubes. Just drop them on in there like a glass of tea. One possibility is to simply increase the amount of water in the supervolcano. But from a practical perspective, it would likely be impossible to convince politicians to sanction such an initiative. Building a big aqueduct uphill into a mountainous region would be both costly and difficult. People don't want their water spent that way. No, I don't care if a planet explodes. There's to take a shower. Building a big aqueduct, people are desperate for water all over the world, and so a major infrastructure project where the only way the water is used is to cool down a supervolcano would be controversial. Yeah, I mean, shoot. Look at that. Kaboom. Instead, NASA has conceived a very different plan. They believe the most viable solution could be to drill up to 10 miles down into the kilometers down into the supervolcano and pump down water at high pressure.
What could possibly go wrong?
The circulating water would return at a temperature of around 662 degrees Fahrenheit, thus slowly, day by day, extracting heat from the volcano. And while such a project would come in at an estimated cost of around 3.46 billion smackaroonies, it comes with an enticing catch, which could convince politicians to make the investment. Green energy. Yellowstone currently leaks around 60 gigawatts in heat.
Well, I mean, how much does your average solar wardenship cost?
Well, I mean, we don't really pay for that anymore, right? Didn't we pay for the initial get going, and now they're pretty much doing their own thing there?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm not even going to bother reading the rest of this to you. If you're interested enough, you can go to the BBC.com, check it out. NASA's ambitious plan to save the Earth from a supervolcano. Speaking of volcanoes, you know they found 90 volcanoes underneath Antarctica?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, didn't we talk about that the other week?
I was asking Phantom Spy.
Oh, yeah, I did. I heard about that.
Yeah, so... who knows, man? What happens if 90 volcanoes in Antarctica erupt? What happens if one? What happens if one volcano in Antarctica erupts?
Well, they have Arctic volcanoes that erupt all the time, and it's not like an enormous,
amount of heat
of water or something,
I'm just thinking about the amount of heat, like magma breaking off chunks of ice or something. I mean, granted, now. Depending on, I mean, it would have to probably pretty much be the entirety of Antarctica melting to really flood us out, I think, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, totally. I could imagine like an impact or something could do it, though,
Mm-hmm.
Major impact.
Pretty interesting. Well, that is about it for this week, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, thank you for watching the broadcast, and we'll be back next week with more lovely, lovely things for you guys.
Thanks for hanging out and witnessing the apocalyptic specters of a dark and uncertain future with us.
And, yep, that's about it. That's all I got to say about that, guys.
All right. Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Not a problem. Thanks, Phantom Spy, coming on in.
Night, everybody.
And we will leave you with this to enjoy.
What's it gonna be?